Hello, everyone. Cathy Sabater here. I'm here with my infamous realtor, Collette Jimenez with Century 21 Affiliates. Today,
Hey.
we're going to be talking about home inspection. So, quickly about mortgage rates. So, U.S. Treasury, as we had discussed before, it's at 4.54% as of right now. If you add 2+%, depending on what type of loan you're getting, how much money you're putting down, that number could be higher. So, that just lets you know that rates are still in the high sixes. Now, many people ask, are we ever going to get to the 4%, 3%? What do you think?
Rub that crystal ball.
We'll find out. So, on the real estate side, you have the buying side and then you have the selling side. So, home inspection. Why is it so important for a buyer to get a home inspection?
It's a crucial part of the home buying process. And the reason is because it's going to help you avoid any costly surprises and just to make an informed decision in general about the condition of the home as a whole.
Right. And then what's the cost about in regards to home inspection?
The cost is going to be between $350 and $700 on average for a
Mhm,
general home inspection.
mhm.
And that takes about 3 to 4 hours. Now, if you have a smaller home like a condo, you're going to be on the lower end of that. If you have a larger home, it's going to be on the higher end.
Mhm.
Um, so that's generally what you can expect price wise.
Right. And I know we've talked about people flipping homes and how the aesthetics look on the outside, but how
Yeah.
does that segue into really, you really need to get a home inspection when you see a flip home?
So what happens with that is you walk into that flipped home, it looks beautiful, amazing. But it could be a situation like I call lipstick on a pig, where they took something and they painted and they put on fresh cabinets or did something, but didn't address any underlying issues. And so that inspection is going to reveal any structural problems, plumbing issues, electrical hazards, and so much more. So,
Got it. And I know I did experience that myself prior to buying the home I'm with now. The market really dictates what you can negotiate in regards to repairs. So I had a home that had it was flipped. I went in, we did the home inspection, and we did find a lot of things. It looked good on the outside, but on the inside, the plumbing, the electrical, a lot of the
yeah,
stuff they didn't get done. Now, did they have to get those things repaired?
no,
No. Why? There's two things that happen because you have the home inspection, which is crucial. And this is what's so great about buyers. You are protected in a lot of different ways. Real estate
absolutely.
side, the home inspection, you have some contingencies on that. On the loan side, we have the same thing. You have your home inspection, anything and everything that's on there, you as a great realtor is going to show and explain that to your buyer.
Yeah,
We as lender don't see the home inspection. The only thing we care about is the appraisal. The appraisal. Now, if there's anything listed on the appraisal, it absolutely has to get repaired by a
right.
contracted person, and we have to have proof. Now, how do you explain to your buyers, because sometimes, you get a home inspection has a whole bunch of stuff that it looks like there's a lot of things wrong with the house, but how do you explain some of those repairs that need to get done?
Well, I tell my clients, look, we're looking to avoid a money pit. So if there's a costly repair like a roof or foundation,
Mhm.
those are big ticket items. Those can cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. And so again, this is where the inspection helps you steer clear of any issues,
Mhm.
or if you uncover an issue like you did, it just informs you and gives you knowledge. That knowledge um, is negotiation power. So, for example, say there's a total roof replacement for a 1,500 square foot home. You're looking at 20 to 30 grand for a full tear off and redo. So you could, what I would tell my buyers is we can handle this one of two ways. We can ask them to fix it. We can ask them to remove it and redo it and give us a house with a brand new roof.
Mhm.
I don't like that option, and I'll get into why. The other option is lowering the price of the home by
Mhm.
that $30,000 reduction. So price
Mhm.
reduction, ask them to repair or replace, and then the other thing would be a seller credit.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know about you, but I advise my clients, my preference is lowering the purchase price because that lowers your tax base. And then that's beneficial if they have money in the bank
Mhm.
to then be able to pull from the bank and make those repairs. If they don't have that credit, to be held back in escrow or
Mhm.
however it's negotiated is beneficial, because then they have those funds set aside by the seller to
Mhm.
then take those funds and pay for it if they can't finance it, or if they don't have the fluid assets. Um, so that's really important. And I'll tell you why I prefer to have my clients hire their own workers, is because then they can go through the process that they feel, the vetting process for the person that's doing the work for them,
Mhm.
as opposed to trusting that the seller hired a qualified person to do the job.
Right. And
So,
then I'll segue into that because on the lending side, if you put in a request for repairs, right? Now the underwriter is saying, well, why wasn't that put on the appraisal? And then
right.
that may delay. So that's one of the reasons why most um, realtors and buyers are going to say, hey, let's just get the credit because
Yeah.
I'd rather have the credit and it could be used in more than one way, right? So if I get a seller credit, I can use that for my closing costs, buying down the rate, or reducing the purchase price, right? And then what
Yeah.
we do together is say, hey, if you reduce the purchase price this much, let me show you how much it changes your payment
Right.
versus if you take the seller credit, this is how it works. So this way they have the options to do what they need to do. And
Another sticking point on that is if the seller is required or accepting a repair request,
mhm,
then you have the time that it takes to do those repairs.
right,
Something like a full roof removal and replacement is going to
mhm,
take several weeks.
right,
And the logistics you have is um, they're not going to want to do those repairs until the buyer has removed their contingencies, saying
mhm,
we're all in.
right,
And even then, they're taking a risk,
right,
because so we're in the state of California. For the state of California, they are very pro buyer.
mhm,
So if something happened and they could no longer qualify for their loan, that seller has said, we will do these repairs, and then they pull
mhm,
out of the loan. They just did repairs that maybe perhaps the next buyer wouldn't have asked for or
right,
wouldn't have been negotiated. And so
mhm,
then the seller is out of those funds.
mhm,
So they would want to wait till the buyer removed their contingencies. And then once that happens, are you extending escrow for that to
mhm,
be completed?
mhm,
And so there's just some moving parts there
right,
that could present more issues than it's worth, which is why
correct.
the creditor price reduction is always going to be my preference as a realtor.
Mhm,
Almost 20 years in the industry, I've
mhm,
seen a lot go wrong
mhm,
with having an expectation that the seller is going to hire qualified professionals to do the job
mhm,
properly,
mhm,
and then that it gets done in a timely manner without
mhm.
delaying or causing more hiccups in the transaction.
Right. So in a summary, as far as the home inspection is concerned, the real benefit for the buyer is,
Well, if it looks flawless, it isn't necessarily. It's giving you
mhm,
the home inspection is a small investment.
yes,
Again, 350 to 700.
mhm,
Um, but it can help prevent major financial setbacks later.
right. And then there's a lot of people who like to buy a house that needs to be fixed up in a beautiful neighborhood, right? Because
Yes,
you can't change the neighborhood. But
great investment.
exactly. And at that point, that's where, as far as the lender is concerned, sometimes we wait for the inspection to be completed before we even order the appraisal to make sure we save money for the buyer. So that's the other part of it all. So I just want to thank Collette because this is going to be her takeaway moving forward. She just picked San Diego County today, and then moving forward, we'll be using different zip codes. Could you tell us what the highest price and the lowest price home
Yes.
is in San Diego County?
Okay, so I know previously, Kat, we have discussed with our first market update that the median home price in the county of San Diego is $850,000. So I thought, is there, what's the cheapest? What's the most expensive? So I looked that up. And right now, would you believe that there are 3 homes, single family residences in the county of San Diego under 200,000?
I can't believe it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
There's 3. 2 of them are 200,000. The cheapest home is $150,000. It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 818 square feet, 818, built in 1989. And it is a cute little casita that the owners are using. It's on a golf course,
Mhm.
and it's being used as an Airbnb. What a great investment. And that is in Borrego Springs.
Okay, that explains the price. And what about the highest priced home?
How much do you think it is?
I know it has to be expensive, but I don't know what
It's
zip
going to be
code.
in the millions, obviously, with our
Ooh,
median being 850.
okay,
This fine establishment
drum
is
roll.
$108 million.
Wow.
It's been on the market for a minute because any of
Hmm.
our larger, more expensive homes tend to have a little more hang time on the market.
Hmm.
It is a 10-bedroom, 17 bath, almost 13,000 square foot home
Hmm.
perched on the hillsides of La Jolla,
Hmm.
and it's called the Sandcastle.
Oh,
And it is stunning. It's
I can
absolutely
imagine.
stunning.
$108,000.
I'll take
So the
three.
interesting thing is if you're interested in actually seeing that property at 108, you got to be pre-approved, right? But
Yeah.
Collect goes from this range to that range. So
Yeah.
if you want to look at property or you want to list your property, Collect, what phone number should they call you at?
Call me at 619-838-1696 for all your buying and selling needs.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and you guys have a wonderful day.
Have a great day.